Good day everyone, so we've got quite a bit to cover in this video, so let's get started. Apollo basically asked me on my previous video, Kokomi versus Xingqiu, the C6 half-5 showdown. It's just a bit of a for fun video, so don't take it too seriously. He's basically asking me here, can you make a video about how many people who now think Kokomi is meta on the second run seem to pretend that Ocean Clam set is a major source of her damage? It's kind of annoying how people keep saying that she had no damage before Ocean Clam set. Well, Ocean Clam set actually gives the biggest damage uplift to someone like Chi and Barbara. But if you've had like a C0 Kokomi, then definitely as a proportion of the total damage that you would do, it certainly is quite a bit of a benefit. So as Polyhedron pointed out here, it is about a 40-50% somewhere, I don't know what the exact number is, increase in damage. But if you've got a Kokomi at C1, C2, all the way to C6, then Ocean Clam set as a proportion of a total damage provide less of an increase. This is something that you can see if you look at my previous Kokomi videos from last year, like the September, October DPS Kokomi videos. You'll basically see we used to run like a 2-piece Heart of Depth and 2-piece Tenacity sort of build. I know a lot of the Theory Crafters might cringe at this moment, be like, oh my god, why don't you use 4-piece? Well, with main DPS Kokomi, you never want to run the 4-piece Tenacity set here. But basically this was the build, and way back when the formula was still the same as it is now. HP, Hydro, Healing bonus, that's sort of the order, and I'll explain a bit later in this video as well why we use that order and why it's the most optimal. But if you wanted to have like a good sense of what she did, you can I'll just quickly let this play out in the background. On her own, she used to hit like 12-13k. And obviously if you added a bit of buffs like here with Sucrose, you can see we're now hitting for about 15, 16, 18, 19k, which is pretty strong. So Kokomi definitely did have damage, but consider this: if you've got Ocean Clam set, whilst your numbers here might be a bit lower, the fact that you've got a bunch of enemies around you, your Ocean Clam set can hit all of them in an AoE. So if you've got 3 enemies and you're hitting each one for, let's say, 30k damage, that is 90k extra DPS that Kokomi does in 3.5 seconds. So that is something, I don't know, my quick maths is a bit bad, but in the order of 20k something extra DPS just from existing on the field. That's pretty strong on the set. So in order to answer your question, yes, Ocean Clam set is a major source of her damage. Yes, she did have damage before Ocean Clam set, but it certainly, like with Chi and Barbara, has been a major buff to all of the healers in the game. But yeah, I don't know what else we can sort of make of that. So, on to the second part of the video. Why do we actually run Kokomi with an HP Sands, a Hydro Damage Goblet, and a Healing Damage Bonus Circlet? Healing bonus circlet, sorry. Well, the reason is that's the best way to sort of maximize in terms of the Genshin Impact damage equation. So we can always ask the question, what happens if we don't run the Hydro Damage bonus? And in this pre-recorded footage, you will see me running, oh, I'm just going to quickly skip back because I just missed it right here. You'll see me running a Hydro Damage Goblet and then Hydro Damage Sands, and then obviously just the Healing Bonus Circlet. So Kokomi's total HP is 47k, but you'll see here that her damage output is going to be a lot less. So let's just quickly go here. Alright, and let's see what she does. So you can see there's 11k, 11k, 10k. So I recorded this today. This is definitely a lot lower than the 12k that you saw in my previous Kokomi vs Xingqiu video. For those of you that didn't see it, basically this is what Kokomi's damage should look like at 40k here. This is with the Ocean Clam set. You can see individually we're hitting for 12k, 12, 12, 12, 12. So this definitely shows you that having the Hydro damage is very important, because what happens is Hydro damage bonus is essentially an additional multiplier in the Genshin Impact damage equation. So if you've got a larger HP pool, because you're stacking now HP percentages and so on, you've essentially got a higher base but a smaller Hydro damage bonus multiplier. So a higher base with a smaller multiplier is not going to give you as good damage as a slightly lower base but a higher multiplier. This is just sort of how the Genshin Impact damage equation works. And of course the healing bonus gives Kokomi additional damage as well via her Song of Pearls passive. And the cool thing about the healing bonus is it means you're more tanky, you're gonna heal more, you're gonna get more Ocean Youth Clan bubbles that'll pop and so on, and it's just overall just gonna increase your damage by quite a bit. Basically in the past, without Ocean Youth Clan set, my Kokomi used to do, I think like I mentioned, 12 to 13, 14k damage, but Ocean Youth Clan set is definitely very, very powerful and so on. And yeah, the last thing that I want to discuss is a comment that I think has been deleted. I don't know where this comment is anymore. I've like looked on my Kokomi vs Xingqiu video for it, but someone said, well, this entire video is bad and so on, and the reason it's bad is because all the artifacts, nothing is optimized properly, and if you look at Xingqiu, you should be running not Mistsplitter but Jade Cutter and so on. And I just want to sort of put a bit of perspective on the builds and so on. You can see here with Mistsplitter, this is the stats that Xingqiu has, and he obviously had 2100 attack and so on. So now if you go all the way here and you give Xingqiu the Primordial Jade Cutter at R5, what you'll find is that obviously due to the conversion, he gets higher attack, he gets higher crit rate, but his crit damage will be slightly lower, and of course his hydro damage will also be slightly lower. I did change the artifact from a crit rate to a crit damage circlet. But in essence, if you change the damage equation in Genshin Impact like this, you're losing out on this crit damage multiplier and hydro damage multiplier, and effectively what happens is your Xingqiu is doing a lot less damage. So if just to give you guys a quick reminder, what we had with Mistsplitter itself, you can see here Xingqiu was heading for about 7,800 there on the rain swords, which is pretty strong. But if you just use the Jade Cutter right now, look at what he's going to do. Alright, he's going to hit the enemy right here. And look at that, he is heading for about 6,400. That's quite a bit less. So this is again the whole thing. You need to understand Genshin Impact's damage equation, and if you sort of understand the fact that you're losing out on two multipliers now, then yeah, you should be running Mistsplitter and not Jade Cutter on Xingqiu. So I do think that previous comment is sort of, wherever that comment is or whoever that person is, he kind of missed the boat. And the other thing that he also missed is he said, oh yeah, your Xingqiu is not optimized, your Kokomi is not optimized, which is just like such a weird take. Oh yeah, sorry, it's in this video, my bad. If you look at my Kokomi build as well, that I sort of put here, she is pretty, I think, decently built. Yes, she's not the best. I don't have a dev account where I can just have maximum substats all over. And I obviously don't have maximum substats on Xingqiu. You won't get the maximum 371% crit damage bonus through perfect substats on your artifacts, and that's because Genshin Impact's got RNG on its artifacts, which is layered with a second layer of RNG on like the distribution and how you can upgrade them, and then once you upgrade something, there's also RNG as to how far you can upgrade it. It's literally RNG within RNG. It's RNGception in Genshin Impact. So most people won't have good artifact sets. So I do think that the numbers that I've sort of pointed out here with Xingqiu, in terms of where's the crit damage, the crit rate to crit damage, this is comparable to what I think most people should be able to achieve. I do not think that this is statistically in the minority. I think this, amongst all the good players and in-game players that have been playing for a long time, this should be between the 50th to the 75th percentile in terms of the crit rate to crit damage. So this should be relatable to most people. That's sort of what I'm trying to say. I do think whenever people comment stuff like, oh, the builds aren't optimal, it's just like, what is optimal? How do you get to optimal? How many people do have this idea of optimal? Because if most people don't have the super max out dev build, then what you're showcasing won't be realistic in any case for most people. And like I said in my Kokomi vs Xingqiu video right here, this is on my account. So in my Genshin Impact world, my Kokomi on her own will outdamage a Xingqiu on his own. And then a couple of people also in the comment section basically here said, oh, you're comparing an on-field with an off-field, etc. Basically, I don't think that's the point, because and this is where I want to point out a double standard in the Genshin Impact community. When Kokomi came out, what everyone did, I Went to Lose Gaming did it, Tenha did it, and a lot of other people did it. They took Kokomi, they took her solo, and they said, what's the damage like? What's the damage? And there was such a big focus on just the damage that a lot of people missed what the character was good for. And at the end of the day, if damage is the big thing, if all the YouTube showcases are Bennett, Kazuha, DPS showcases, then it doesn't matter how you put that damage on the field. You want to showcase damage. So yes, I do agree. It is kind of pointless to showcase an on-field versus an off-field character, and I wish we could always apply this consistency when we look at different characters in the game. But what I intended to do here, as I specifically said in the video, is to do a raw damage comparison. So that means regardless of how that damage is put on the field. So hopefully that makes it clear. Hopefully that also informs people to listen carefully to the video and to the opening commentary. But yeah, that is it for this video. That's all that I've got to say, and thank you guys so much for watching. Cheers.